Hey, what's going on, guys? Sinister Skater here, and I have a guide for you to make it easier to get diamond camo and solar camo in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Now, this is not going to be covering how to actually get the camos. I have a video covering all the camo challenges. I'll have a link down below in the description if you're interested in it, but rather this video contains some tips that will help you progress through all of the camo challenges easier. So for this video, we're going to be covering some headshot and long shot tips, which you have to get a lot of these things for your diamond and solar camo. There's a couple other parts to this diamond guide. The first one that is out right now will be linked down below in the description. We went over general tips that apply to everything, just mental tips, things like that. And then there's also going to be a video that's going to be covering, sliding kills, launchers, just the rest of the challenges that are kind of hard. So you can check for those down below in the description, and time codes for everything I'm talking about will be in the description as well, so you can click to and go to what you want to in this video. Now let's get on to the first big topic we're going to talk about, which is headshots. Now you have to get headshots for the assault rifles, the snipers, the LMGs, and the pistols. Now I'm going to go ahead and link a headshot tip video I did for Black Ops 3 down below in the description. Everything that I said in it applies to Infinite Warfare as well. And I mean, getting headshots is pretty simple. I'll tell you the basics of the video. Pretty much said, you simply have to aim at the head if you're going for headshots and try to reduce recoil as much as possible. And you have to aim at the head. It's really simple. People are like, how do you get headshots? You got to aim at the head. There are a few other tips regarding sensitivity and stuff in that video. You can go check it out. But for this video, I have some positioning and kind of, attachment specific things that are good to use when you're going for diamond camo in Infinite Warfare. First, the one attachment that I highly recommend you use is the Trojan optic sight on the guns that it's available on. I'm pretty sure it's available on every single weapon in the game. I highly recommend using it because it highlights enemies and it has a kind of a larger field of view when you aim down sight, and it makes it really easy to identify the head, and you can just move your reticle right up to that head. It just makes the head shine nice and easy. It doesn't blend in with the background, like a brown background or something like that. It makes it nice and yellow. It's easy to pinpoint the head, and I really like it. So that's the one attachment I definitely will tell you to do. But the big thing about headshots, which they made the game mode permanent now, is they're easy to do in tactical TDM. The reason is because there's no boost jump. So without the boost jump, that vertical plane in most cases is going to be completely eliminated, and there's no burst movements and things like that are in the original Infinite Warfare multiplayer, which makes it a lot easier to hit headshots. People also die a lot quicker. A lot of the weapons are one-shot headshots, and along with tactical TDM, people like to recommend hardcore for headshots in most challenges, as we touched on earlier. Again, I did most of my stuff in core. People do drop quicker in TAC TDM and hardcore, but I find myself liking the extra time core gives you, the extra time, the 3 milliseconds or whatever it is, to readjust to the head if your first shot hits the upper chest or something like that. It makes it a lot easier just to adjust it to the head, and I found myself just getting a lot more headshots with the pretty easy to use weapons in multiplayer. Now I will recommend you play hardcore for things like the pistols, because they're 1 to 2 shot headshots in hardcore, and they're just a pain in the butt to do it in multiplayer. I also can recommend you play hardcore TAC TDM for guns that have a lot of recoil, one of them being the Mauler LMG, which I wish I played hardcore for that. I didn't even think about playing hardcore. I don't know why. That thing has a decent amount of recoil. Things like the Titan LMG, that was kind of hard, and the FHR 40, it has a bit of recoil to it. Just to name a few, those are the weapons you may want to consider getting that 1 to 2 shot headshot with. Other headshot tips, we're going to talk about rigs and perks and everything like that. The Ghost perk, in general, keeps you off the map. It makes it easier to get behind people. Positioning is key. We're going to touch on that in a second. But Ghost is a great perk to, just sneak around the map, stay off the UAV. Pinpoint, I also like Pinpoint because it's like the Trojan sight. It outlines enemies when you damage them or they damage you, which makes it easier to identify the head. The Blackout and Jammer Grenade could help you out. They disorient and slow enemies down, which makes it easier to aim at the head. Again, Reactive Armor, which is Merc's payload, gives you a bit more extra time to line up the headshot, because you do take it's like kinetic armor from Black Ops, so you take extra damage in extra shots. You eat some bullets up when you activate that, so it gives you a little extra time. And the rigs phase shift is a nice cheap way to get a free headshot, because it makes it really easy to get in position. You can shift run behind the enemy, catch him off guard, maybe spray down a couple people and get some headshots. You can also do this with active camo too, which I like active camo because I can see the enemies and line up the headshot, but it doesn't charge as fast as phase shift. Phase shift, you can't see the enemies, you just have to, you know, kind of run behind them and guess that they're going to be there. So, but both of those do allow you to get positioning really easy and just take people's heads off. Now, getting behind the enemy and positioning brings me to my final headshot tips, and it has to do more with tips for snipers. Now, sniping, if you're not good at sniping, honestly, I don't have tips to get better because I don't even really know how to explain it, kind of just natural. But I will link a Black Ops 3 sniping video tip thing I did, again down below in the description, which may have a few useful tips in there for you, not sure. But I know for a fact it talks about strafing versus rotating, which helps a lot with lining up headshots, so you should go check that out. But what makes sniping easy is positioning, especially to get headshots, and especially in Infinite Warfare, because when you are aiming down sights with the sniper, you have this giant sniper glint that comes out of your gun. It makes it easy for enemies to see you. Now what you want to do is get behind the enemy, get to the sides of the enemy so that they're clueless, and then, you know, line up your headshot and you got an easy headshot right there. And to do this, all you have to do is just look at your mini map and just, you know, find those areas, get familiar with the map. So for example, like on Terminal, pretty much the whole area, like the whole map, the Terminal has a lot of great lines of sight. The whole area between A and B, the plane to A, the hallway in the middle of the map, like the back of the plane looking to C, and things like that. There's a bunch where you can just, people will not know you're there, you can be there, and you can line up easy headshots. And this tip also applies to long shots as well, which we'll get into a sec. But one more sniper-specific tip, which has to do with long shots and headshots, is the scopes. Now, I'm not going to recommend that you use the ELO scope, or ELO sight, even though it kind of seems like it'll be easy to get headshots. I recommend it in Black Ops 3 because of the way the maps work, but I don't really like it in Infinite Warfare. I didn't find it as easy to get headshots with. Scopes, default scopes in this game, are really nice and they feel good, but what I really like to use is the variable zoom sight. The base zoom is very nice, it's easy to navigate. You can also zoom all the way in and get that head nice and big in your scope, and you also go on longer distances and use the max zoom to get easy long shots. Also, the tracking chip is kind of like the Trojan sight for these snipers. It highlights all enemies within the scope, and highlighting is nice because it's easier to pick apart the head. Now, another tedious thing that has to do with snipers, as well as ARs and LMGs, is long shots, as we said. And again, it's all about positioning. You just have to find a long distance line of sight. Usually these are in larger maps, and you get a lot of larger maps in Ground War, which again, I'm going to recommend you play for long shots. An alternative, if you're not finding that you're getting many long shots, you can go to Hardcore and sit at a long line of sight, and then once you see someone, you can drop them in a few shots. Because one thing that is challenging about long shots is managing the recoil, and you know, if someone gets hit, they'll usually move the cover. Hardcore helps you drop them before they can do that. But you just have to pick a long sight line and then just sit there and wait for someone to come by. It could be tedious, you may only get a few kills a game, but if you know, all you have to do is get long shots, and that's like your last challenge, you just gotta sit there and wait. It could be boring, but once you're done, you can move on. But a couple line of sight, long shot line of sight examples for you. I'm going to flash them up on the screen. Skydock, you have the middle of the map right there, also the side of the map. Throwback, the side of the field, you can get a lot of long shots by navigating on both sides of the map. Retaliation has the B flag area. You can look out from one spawn to the other. You can also go to the bridge and get a decent line of sight that you're seeing on the screen right now. Breakout, you have the lookouts that look over the B flag. Easy long lines of sight, although a lot of people like to go up there and snipe, so you got to be aware. Crusher, the whole middle of the map, pretty much long sight line. Scorch, the B flag, again, looking from both spawns. And then Terminal, I mentioned a bunch earlier, but the hallway, the back of the plane, those are some really good ones. So let's move on to a couple more weapon-specific things. We have some SMGs and shotguns. Okay, sorry if that was a little bit of an abrupt ending. This video was once like a long 30-minute recording. I decided to break it up into 3 parts. But yeah, hopefully that helped. The previous part, which I mentioned earlier, we got the general tips. That'll be linked down below in the description. Next part is covering the launchers, the SMGs, LMGs, things like that. So you can look forward to those. Again, they'll be linked down below in the description in this video if it's out already. But you know, if you guys have any other tips that help you out for any camo challenges, Be sure to share them down below in the comments if I didn't cover them already, and help out other people looking to get diamond camo. But that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Sinister Skater. Be sure to subscribe to future gaming and content if you guys aren't already. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.